So Dave, tell me, what is all this conurbation of vehicles
Well,
you've got here?
I think it's
So
fair
you've
to
got-
say that Neil and I, we're kind of we're Land Rover people.
You've got an affliction.
I think anyone would say
We've got.
that we're Land Rover people. Well, these are just my ones, and to be honest, there's more. And Neil's got quite a few Land Rovers as well. So we like the Land Rover. And we even drink from.
Yeah.
Do we know what
What are those?
Do we know what these are? One, Neil, you must have changed a few of these.
Oh, they are for fuel pump
That's
filters.
the sediment bowls, isn't
Sediment bowls, yes. So what is this big green beast you've got here?
it?
I know we're not good at it. A 101. It looks very military.
Ex-military, yeah. Ex-military.
Oh, that's looking good.
So there we are.
So you've got a few there.
Yeah, well,
and
we're
what's-
talking whiskey or we're talking Land Rovers.
Okay, we'll talk whiskey.
Because we can talk Land Rovers all night if you want to.
Right, so that's us up and running.
Right, Neil, we're going to have a little.
What's this we've
Oh,
got this
we're
evening?
on a little Kilchoman. I believe it's a red wine cask.
So it's definitely
Or it's
Kilchoman as opposed to
what's that?
Kilchoman. Marsala finish
Marsala
single
finish.
cask.
So we're all guessing that's a red wine cask.
So that's yes.
So,
It is.
and as you can see, we're having a little drop of Kilchoman served in Land Rover sediment bowls.
Sediment bowl. So
We'll bring that forward for a wee cheers. We'll bring that forward for a wee cheers. Right? A wee AC sediment bowl.
and what's the sediment bowl, Dave?
So the sediment bowl, God, you put me on the spot now. That's basically your old fuel filter. So on your lift pump, on your fuel pump, all your fuel came from the fuel tank. Along the line, all the water and sediment, and this is the clever bit, I can only assume gravity drops it down.
Yes.
There is a
It's
little,
just the-
if you remember, there's a little gauze, a little filter at the top.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get that in right, when you primed up the pump, it wouldn't prime and then it leaked. And then you got petrol all over the place.
Yeah, but it's
But then, yeah, so I'm assuming it was just gravity that the water. And then it took,
water and
it took from the
sediment.
top.
If
So it
there's any
took
water
fresh
in
fuel
it,
from the top
yeah. If there's any sediment in it,
and all the sediment. So
down.
sometimes when you looked at your fuel, that's actually what it looked like. Because the top was clear petrol and the bottom was a sort of a brown sludgy water that you had paid for at the pump.
But they make great glasses.
But they make
do.
very good whiskey
nice.
glasses.
That's very
Like
nice.
good size, I think.
Yeah. Just don't. There's a certain person, Mr. Andy Taylor, you really don't want to be letting fill these.
Just fill it right to the top.
Just go to the top. So anyway, so we've got the Kilchoman and we've got the Land Rovers. So
We are very much-
is there any link between Kilchoman and Land Rovers? Tell me.
Well, I believe Neil and I would be classed as Land Rover people. And Neil and I would probably be classed as whiskey people. So when our Scottish Land Rover Owners Club, when it was coming up to their 60th anniversary, we wondered if there was a way that we could tie the whiskey in with the Land Rovers. And it didn't take very much research before we realised that there was a very strong relationship between Kilchoman and Land Rover.
Very strong and very surprising actually when
Very
you
surprising, very good, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
And it was a strong enough excuse for us to basically get a whole load of Scottish Land Rover owners to get in their cars and drive over to Kilchoman Distilleries on Islay for the.
But not only Scottish. There was
Oh no, there certainly was
there were some from south of the border as well.
a couple from south of the border.
Yeah, very nice chaps.
Oh, very nice chaps.
Very nice chaps. It's we do like some of the folk from south of the border.
Like lots of people from south of the border,
Yeah, lots of people.
especially for buying the drams.
Yes. The story goes that the director of the Rover company, as it was called at that point in time, was experimenting with an off-road vehicle on his beach because he owned the estate,
It's
the
not so
Lagan
much an
estate.
off-road vehicle as there just wasn't any roads.
Well, yes, that's true. Aye. So he was experimenting, and he'd used a Rover, an old Rover.
An old Rover car.
Now I wonder if it would be a Rover 12. Could it have been?
So Neil was actually thinking earlier on when we were talking about this, if there was any pictures of it, and we could maybe try and recreate one.
Yeah, we could reincarnate the first ever Land Rover, because the reason it got called Land Rover because one of the estate
Was it the gamekeeper or one of the estate workers?
saw Spencer Wilkes driving about in this thing on the beach and said, that looks like a Land Rover.
Land Rover.
So it stuck.
I think from that phrase you probably find that he was possibly abusing a reasonably good car.
So that was way back in...
Anyway, the name stuck.
I think that was back in 47 that happened. So it's so that's the connection with Kilchoman and Land Rover, where it originates. Now we'll take you inside and show you something really special that's come out recently from Kilchoman and from Land Rover. And
celebrating, well, us. Land Rover lovers and whisky lovers.
You can't beat it. You just need deep pockets, but we'll tell you more about it in a minute.
The whisky or the Land Rovers?
Well, probably both.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I wonder just how much money or petrol went through these little bowls.
Well, that's true. Well, not as much as it would be now.
Oh, that's very true.
Anyway, let's go inside.
But cheers. That is bloody good whisky. How good is that? That is, but you still get that. You still get that young spirit. You still know you've drunk alcohol. But that's good whisky.
Again, it's got that similar to that one earlier. But it's quite an exotic. It's quite an exotic. It's like it's got a wee bit of Caribbean feel to it, sort of thing.
It's fruity. It's light, but it's still young and it's still vibrant and it's still.
Oh, that would be it.
It's just ready to.
Yeah.
It's ready to.
And we finished these off.
We have finished these off.
We have finished these off. No, I think we're. So that was.
Sorry.
Well, it's just.
We're not filming yet.
We are.
We are filming.
Yes.
Jesus.
I've got to, see, the thing is, it's some bits on this that make it easy.
Don't you do that?
No, but it makes it easy for me to edit it together.
Right. Okay.
If I've got all these wee bits and pieces, it's easier. There's more content for me to play with.
Yep.
So this was the Marsala, Kilchoman Marsala that we were having a wee snifter of outside when we were talking to you about the Land Rovers. So that's actually 2022 that was bottled. So
we had spoke earlier about how you would start to maybe grade whisky, and if we ever did get to grade whisky, that has to be up in the nines. That's actually that's a very, very nice whisky.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a cool wall of whisky. So we did use the old filter.
Yep. The old sediment bowls.
The old sediment bowls for this, but we think our next wee bottle deserves something a wee bit more special. So I think we should get some
crystal or nose glasses.
Well, let's try a nosy, see if I can actually nose anything.
So we're actually taking a bit of a gamble. If we're going to actually try this lovely bottle of whisky that you're going to introduce shortly, and you can't smell it, you're going to have to just take my word for it, or take my nose for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think crystal glasses.
Yeah, let's go for crystal and Land Rover. Yes, why not?
I think we'll go for crystal glasses. So we'll go and get a couple of crystal
Get
glasses.
Yeah.
So you talk amongst yourself.
Yep.
And I'll go and get some crystal glasses.
And he'll go and get crystal glasses. We've got the glasses.
Couple of nice glasses.
Very nice glasses.
Now I hope all this is worth
Good
it.
old cut crystal.
Oh, you know I got them in the charity shop.
Right.
They were 50
so we had
pence
a Kilchoman Marsala cask, and following on from our Land Rover chat,
Little Land Rover chat.
we have another Kilchoman one here.
I'm sure you've all
which
seen it.
happens to have the Land Rover logo on it. So why would it have a Land Rover logo on it?
Well, you're the one that bought it.
It was,
You're going to take me through this.
We have it's got a nice wee label on it too. So Kilchoman's got a certain brand styling about it that's quite serious in a way, I suppose you could say. Quite
Grown up is what I was.
grown up. That's the word. Grown up.
It's a very grown up.
Yes. Oh, that label. Look, the label's even Even the label on it's got a
Land Rover.
Land Rover on the hill.
It's like a wee.
So this is Kilchoman's. What does that say?
I don't know. I don't think. Again,
Oh.
we're not well enough prepared to actually bring things like glasses in.
No, it's Island Farm Distillery. Island Farm Distillery. Kilchoman is the name of the farm. So it's so this is Kilchoman, Islay single malt Scotch whisky, Land Rover, and it's a Pedro Ximénez small batch. So there's 639 bottles of these, and I'm assuming, seeing as how, well, the story is Land Rover are bringing out, or have brought out, Land Rover Works department have brought out some retro styled Land Rovers, new ones, brand new ones that you can buy. So they're making 30 of them, and they'll be split between 90 and 110 wheelbase. And with that you get,
I believe they've also got the correct number of cylinders under the bonnet.
oh they have, yes,
They have.
whole 8 cylinders
They have 8 cylinders under the bonnet,
And
which is what makes them a little
a V shape.
Yeah, in a V shape.
Not a straight 8, not a
Just
straight
how
8.
they like them.
The bonnet's not long enough for a straight 8, but no, it's a V8. So I'm sure they'll be lovely sounding Land Rovers, and it's quite a special thing. Although my pockets aren't quite deep enough to go and buy one.
I believe they are quite expensive, but
I
then
think
again, all Land Rovers are quite expensive.
Well, the thing is, you've got to think about this. So you get the Land Rover,
Land Rover.
but with the Land Rover you get a bottle of whisky.
Oh,
There's a special wee tray for this to sit in the centre console between the front 2 seats.
for the passenger.
So you get a Land Rover and a bottle of whisky. So maybe it is.
So if you buy the
it's
Land
quite-
Rover, you get the 8 cylinders, and I get the bottle of whisky in the passenger seat.
Well, I'm not sure if that would be a fair deal. Actually, I think.
You can't have both.
So it's yeah. So it's what is it? £230,000 Land Rover looking for this vehicle.
It's as much as that.
So it's. I think actually 220 of that's this bottle of whiskey.
So
But-
Neil is actually going
Actually-
to open this bottle of whisky.
So we're going to open this bottle of whiskey, and that means there'll only be 638 in existence.
So Neil is opening this bottle of whisky within a month of release.
Yeah.
So there
But will
can't
they-
actually be too many of these bottles of whisky being opened yet.
No, and I can't even open it because I have no nails.
Do you want me to open it? Well, I'll just pick the little bit out for you. Look, see it.
So while Dave's away for a knife, there's a wee label on here. So the wee label gives you a wee bit of history about it. So it's Land Rover's Classic and the Works division have revealed the Classic Defender Works V8 Islay edition. So what other bottle of whisky would you get than a bottle of Kilchoman with the Islay Works? So it's inspired by a 1965 Series 2 Land Rover. And it's surprisingly 2A actually, a Series 2A. So I think the 2As all had the headlights and the grills, didn't they?
Yeah, headlights and the
headlights and the grills. Not
Well,
in
wait.
the
Wait,
windows.
if we're going to get technical.
I know later ones had them in the window. But
G's and
yeah.
Chais.
But your 1965
Right, Neil.
in the grill.
Are you going to take it
So
over for a little
we're gonna-
pop?
a wee
Take it
pop.
over for a little pop.
So,
This is the most exciting
so I
part.
need to do it by the. There we go. Ooh, I got a very, very slight hint of something delicious.
I've often said, and we're not sponsored at all, but I've often
We're
said
not.
that Kilchoman is one of the most exciting whisky distilleries out there just now. When you open up a bottle of Kilchoman, you really don't know what you're going to get. Not that I've ever been disappointed. It's always exciting.
So this is for those people that buy their cheers,
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
buy their 90 or 110 new Classic Works Defender and get their bottle of whisky with it, and don't actually think and want to keep that bottle of whisky with the Land Rover. We'll just need to tell you what it smells and tastes like.
We will do our best to let you sleep at night and let you know what's in here.
Yeah.
Now the best thing we could do for that is to tell you that it's absolutely terrible and it smells bad, and that way you won't want to open it.
Yep.
Would that be a nice thing for us to do?
Yep, and you could just leave that wee bottle there, or put the bottle in the cubby box, and you can forget about it.
Because Dave says it tastes rotten. so let's tell the truth. Let's find out. And hope that's not the truth. Let's find out, Neil.
I'm still
Now there is, first of all, I got sort of I did get, first introduction was sort of salty seaweed. Actually, compared to the last Kilchoman, it's actually quite subtle. There is a lot of sort of nice fruits in there.
Nice colour, it's quite dark. It is, isn't it? It is quite dark.
It is a gorgeous colour.
I don't know if you can.
It is a gorgeous colour.
In front of me. As I cook my hand. It's actually quite spicy.
There's something in there that I'm just not getting.
Right, I'm going for it.
You just go.
I can't taste. I can't smell it. So let's see where we're at.
There's something else I just can't quite get. So we'll go for a taste and see if we can come back to it.
Definitely very, very spirity.
It's definitely very spirity. It has a lot of spirit. It has a lot of Kilchoman. There's no arguing. You have a bottle of Kilchoman. The Macker Bay is in there. It's just got that. It's got that.
There's actually, see that seaweedy taste, the seaweedy smell, smell. Yeah, the smell was there. The taste is there. It's quite different from the other one, but I would say it's deeper. It's got
the red wine cask there is exactly what, I often call them a sort of a crowd pleaser. The red wine cask is a stunning, because it's got that real nice fruitiness to it. This one is
it's got
this
almost
one's got a spirit.
Yeah, it's like a tobacco-y.
Whereas that one's more for that one's just going to sort of please everyone.
Yeah.
This one certainly is.
This is this is quite a refined tobacco-y cigar, musty Chesterfield.
We're going to go down there.
Yeah,
we're going to go down the Chesterfield.
That's what it's like. It's. I don't know whether it's deliberate, but it's got that old. that I have and you've possibly seen we have a room, a boys' room above the garage. You should really call it a boys' room these days. It's the Whisky lounge, and it has a couple of old Chesterfields with horsehair in it. And Steph, my wife, always knows if I've been out in the upstairs of the garage, because it has a certain Chesterfield smell.
Certain
aroma. I wouldn't say it's maybe not that kind of.
No, it's not leather. It's not that sort of.
No, but it's not with.
I don't want to try a little bit of water in it, but we possibly should.
Yes, definitely. But I think it's
got something I'm not getting. What is it I'm not getting?
It's got an old. I'm thinking it's.
Is it that saddly leatheriness?
Well, that's what I'm feeling. It's that sadly old, just that, as if you've walked into
a tannery.
Well, not as strong much as that. No, but like in a nice way, in an old club, an old gentleman's club type.
I agree.
Thing. And
it's like you've just wandered into Phileas Fogg. It's like you've just wandered into the room where they were heading off in the balloon.
Yes.
That's what it is.
It's like a
gentleman's lounge.
Yeah, almost like a like you see in old movies, like the banking hall type reception, or boardroom. It could be a boardroom type.
I think it's a very grown up flavoured whisky.
Yes.
Do you know what kind of whisky it is, Neil? What kind of whisky it is? I'll just have to be a splash. We should really get the dabber, but we can just
just be careful.
It's the sort of whisky that we have spent many nights around the table, and then we know to leave certain whiskies, strong flavoured spirit whiskies, strong flavoured peat whiskies,
yes,
to the end of the night, and then there's so much discussion
Oh,
That's a whiskey where there would be much
you've got to add water to that.
just a splash.
Oh, just a splash.
Which actually brings me back there. I used the word that we haven't used yet, and it's Islay, but we never used the word peaty.
No, but there's definitely peat in that. Yeah.
Neil and I mostly drink Islay whiskies or Island whiskies, and we do drink peated whiskies to the point that we expect the peat just like it's whiskey, so we no longer even recognise the peat almost.
No, you can certainly tell there's peat in that one. That's I would say that's quite a peated whiskey.
Concentrate.
Oh, would you believe it?
What is that?
My phone.
Neil's phone's ringing. These things should be banned from this room.
Oh, 2 seconds.
He's going to answer it though. You join us here with me.
Sorry about
friendly Neil for
interrupting.
answering his phone.
I was on vibrate.
In the whiskey room. We can edit all of that out. So, where were we before?
No, I'm not editing
Where
that.
were we before?
We were just going, but that was Kathy and Anthony have chose this themselves to go with the Land Rover, and it's got...
As a Land Rover man.
As a Land Rover man, I would say that's a perfect one, because it's got a rugged...
Listen.
There's a ruggedness to it.
We were describing the wrong seat. What you're actually smelling is elephant hide and straw, which is what was on the old Series 2
In the
seats.
Series 2 seats, that's true.
So,
I can't
does it possibly remind you of
That's quite
an old station wagon? Elephant hide? One thing I would say about Kilchoman seems to do something different with peat than the rest.
Well, they do malt their own barley.
But the peat's not in there in a heavy, peaty way. It's in there as a sort of a peat smoke way.
It's got a nice.
So as we
gentle
burn
flavour.
out in the Still Talk Statutory, we often burn peat, and that's the peatiness that I smell out of Kilchoman. It's like peat.
You're getting the smoke. You're getting the smoke. Right,
you're not
through
really getting the heavy.
No, you're getting
like a classic, heavy like Freud.
No.
It's got a peatiness to it, whereas Kilchoman I always think has that. It's just like a peat fire, basically wafting through.
I think that's perfect whiskey to go out for a wee run in your Land Rover with your designated driver beside you, or more likely in the back, and head up the hills on your estate, no matter where in the world, I suppose.
Do we have an estate?
Oh, you got quite a big garden. So I think if we can head off into the hills, get there and get the picnic basket out the back, and have your strawberry tarts.
I had one of those, didn't I?
Have your strawberry tarts and see if that goes with that. But
I don't think that would go with strawberry tarts.
What would you have with that? Or would you just have the whiskey?
I think you'd have to have something quite grown up with that. I think you'd have to have some sort of nice smoked sea.
Oh yes.
Something nice smoked shellfish or something. I think that would go with
a smoked salmon or something more exotic.
See, when you go to the chip shop and you get those little jars of mussels, I think that would go okay with them. Right, close.
Pickled mussels. Pickled mussels, that's not really. Actually, it might go, you never know, it might go well with oysters.
I've never tried oysters.
No, well, last time it was over in Islay.
I've never tried oysters, but I've never tried oysters.
Yeah, that was my first time.
And
they were quite, I really liked them. And to be fair, I did go in to drink whiskey after one.
And did you do it all?
Oh, aye. Yeah. There's not much in it. You can eat with a knife and fork. Be shooting across the table.
If it's confession time, I've never tried lobster either.
Probably running away.
I went to get lobster a couple of times when we were up on the East Coast, and I went to get lobster. And I always remember watching a programme and my conscience sort of got the better of me, and to this day I've never actually tried lobster.
Right, so
which I'd like to try lobster.
I'd like to try lobster.
So one night we should responsibly caught lobster.
Of course.
Yeah.
Something that's been maybe
and a wee jar of those wee things that you get in the chip shop.
It can be roadkill.
Roadkill. Roadkill lobster.
Roadkill lobster.
A whole new way of
I'm
banning.
sure that could happen in Islay. You know that big spit that goes out?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Aye.
If they were unlucky enough to be crossing.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we've wandered off topic again.
Oh, we have. Right. So back to Land Rover. So I was doing a wee bit of reading earlier on when you were getting something. So it was
So you were talking amongst yourself.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier. So you've got a bespoke centre cubby made from Kilchoman casks. And what else we got?
Does that mean it'll still smell on a warm day?
Probably. For a while.
I would think so.
So it's no, I would recommend it. So it's cracking wee bottle of whiskey, and it's the Whisky Exchange. You need to go to get it. They're not actually selling this from the distillery, so you need to go into, I think it's whiskyexchange.co.uk or .com maybe.
There can't be very many left now.
Well, I know.
How many did you say there was?
I've got a few, 639.
639.
I've now got 2. I do know somebody that's got a few more than that. And yeah, so I was actually meant to check today to see if they were still available. But I'm assuming the Land Rover have their 30 to go with the Land Rovers. And I wonder, hey, wait a minute. So Land Rover
I was away there, sorry.
So if Land Rover are selling these Land Rovers with whiskey, right? Is it going to be in the parts catalogue? Well, it must be. Sure, you buy the Land Rover and it's got that as a part.
And we can get the VAT back of
it. So you're driving about, and
if your bottle becomes, well, let's face it, it's going to leak because it's in a Land Rover.
Well, that's true.
So if it leaks,
if it leaks,
you need to fill it back up.
So you can go back to Land Rover and get it filled back up.
One thing that we never do is the finish. Because we always just put another one in.
That's true.
The finish, not at the video, the finish of the whiskey. So once you've had one, it leaves me with a very, and I know you could say this about a lot of whiskies, but it does leave me with a very nice breath and...
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, like a clean.
It's like a menthol, almost like a menthol clean. It's when you
and you just breathe nice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that if you were breathing on a non-whiskey lover, they may tell you otherwise, but it does leave me with a very
clean palate. Yes.
Yeah.
Because some of them do leave you with more an oily.
And to be honest, it's now a very dry whiskey.
I knew he was going to say that.
Very dry.
Are you trying to tell me you would like another one?
Well, it's quite a special whiskey, and we are Land Rover people.
Well, you can never really tell from the first one, can you?
We shall have. So if we're going to extend this little video a little bit, I could tell you a little story about our previous trip to Islay. It may involve me actually going down to actually have a little look here. That's no a seat for you, old man. But I do have the evidence here.
So when were we there?
Oh, when was that? 2000 and...
Was it 6 years ago?
2017. 2017.
Oh.
I shall put the chair back.
An empty bottle?
An empty bottle.
Oh.
So the Scottish Land Rover Owners Club, I think we've probably mentioned in one of our last videos.
Well, it was earlier.
It was earlier. We all went across to Islay on 2018. And the Scottish Land Rover Club picked up 60 bottles with our Scottish Land Rover Owners Club name on it. Now, Neil, so we got 60 bottles. Neil managed to buy the 61st bottle, which was the first bottle with our name on it. And we all went home that night, and we didn't go home that night, we all went back to the campsite that night. We built a little fire down next to the water on the Pebble Beach, and we all had a little glass of whiskey.
Sorry, it wasn't a pebble beach, it was a ball bearing beach.
A ball bearing beach, big ball bearings.
Yes.
So later on in that, well, probably the next again morning basically, most people had wandered up back to their tents, including myself as a responsible father of 3 girls and my wife. We all went back up responsibly off the beach. This is when I believe Neil, who was it, Emrys Kirby and was it Henry Webster, the three of them decided to open up this bottle of whiskey, which I believe is around 59%, 59.5%.
Yes.
So the three of them sat looking out over the moonlight,
In the dark.
flat, calm water, listening to the waves coming in on this ball-bearing beach.
Looking at
And
the stars.
they had a real good go at this bottle of whiskey, and all was fine until they decided to head back up the beach.
Stand up, I think is what you mean. Remember, it was ball-bearing beach. So yes, that was an interesting return to camp.
So
It was,
you actually seem to be making this a more sort of occurring, because I believe that there was an incident on Mull as well with you, and there was certainly an incident on Skye there just recently where I went off to bed early and you seemed to
yeah, well, it's you
drink on.
Yeah, but usually you do that in the Friday night, the first night.
Yes.
And I'm not wound up at that point, and it was only in the Saturday night that things.
So I get the party started.
Yeah, but I'm a late arrival. Bloomer. But yes, I've still got nightmares about the brambles and the jams.
Trying to get back off that beach.
Trying to get
on all fours, I believe.
Well, that was Mull. Yeah. but we always recommend you drink responsibly.
Yeah. What we do, that's just occasionally.
Just occasionally. It's only once a year.
What I like about these bottles is, and we haven't actually put anything in this bottle, but at some point we really need to put something in this bottle. But if you have a really good night, if you have a really good weekend, if you have a really good memory, take a small note or take a small photograph. It's why the old Polaroid camera is great. You open it up, stick your photograph in, stick the note in there, close it down and stick it on a shelf someplace. Doesn't mean all that much just now, but as the years go on, you just got this little memory. And that's a very good memory, that bottle of whiskey. Very good
So you need
memory.
to get something in there then.
So we need to get a little photograph
Yes.
or something and pop it in there. But thankfully there wasn't a camera of the three of them on all fours trying to get off the beach. Although it would have been a very good photograph of the bottle.
Well, it couldn't have been that bad. I managed to get the bottle back.
You did manage, but it was still half full.
Yeah.
I can well imagine that the bottle was good first. Pass it up!
Watch the ball! Careful, careful!
Like a challenge, that once you get to the top, pass the bottle up and then repeat.
Yeah. No, it was a good night. It was a good night, good chat.
Good chat.
And, one of these silly nights that you can't have too often.
You can't have too often. Well, we wouldn't be.
You'd love to have them more often, but you can't.
You can't, and you can't organise these nights.
No, it was a time and a place that slotted together.
And the whiskey.
And the whiskey, yes.
The whiskey.
So that was that. No, that was a good. So we've had some cracking nights with the Kilchoman, and that's a
very nice.
That's a really nice. That's going to be in the top shelf. That's going to be the top shelf open that one is, and that's the top shelf hard to reach.
Yeah, but where I'd put that, not actually on the shelf, where I'd put that on an evening, on a whiskey evening.
Oh, that's.
As I think that would certainly be one of those ones that you would keep till the end.
Definitely.
And then you would pass it around the table, and then just let everybody just.
That's
because you got to go searching.
That's the time of the night when everybody starts to get a wee bit quieter, and things become a wee bit more subdued, thoughtful,
romantic.
Well, I was thinking, what's the word? I can't think of the word at the moment. I'll put it up.
Well, polite.
But not contemplative, but yeah, it's a pizza.
There is actually.
I think that's a pizza, and I don't know if there's much more we can say about
I'm getting
apart from that.
I've often found this though, that your second drink,
you get more.
Your second drink's different from your first drink. I'm getting more fresh fruits, more fruit salad, more. Now we're talking high-end fruit salad, not the tin of Del Monte.
No, it's a really. You can taste. There's definitely
fresh grapes.
There's certainly a wee bit of sherry about it. It's almost like 1 year 5 a day.
With a fruit salad.
Yeah. As a grown up bottle, grown up branding, grown up marketing. And perfectly paired with Land Rover.
It's not the big flavour crowd pleaser that the wine cask is, but I don't think we expected it to be.
No, because it is a special.
But it's a much more delicate
Aye, but it's delicate, but it's rich.
I like it.
It's rich and it's nice, and
I do
the
like it.
colour. I love the colour of that. The colour is just beautiful.
What's always good though with Kilchoman is unfortunately I don't actually have
I do like a whiskey that looks.
But the colour is the colour varies from year to year, and they don't make any. They don't try to add anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what colour it is this year, and next year it's lighter, darker.
Well, it
and
just
you see
depends.
that in their other whiskies that we buy. Well,
It just depends on their casks and their. So I would recommend that you go buy one of the new Defenders.
I would certainly recommend you buy a Land Rover.
And with that Defender, you get a free bottle of Kilchoman. I did ask when I was at the distillery if you bought one of these, but unfortunately they didn't have them, but I did ask if you got a free Defender with the bottle of Kilchoman. But it didn't work that way around.
I suppose it all depends on how you're trying to wangle it with the VAT.
Well, it's
Company expenses and all.
well, it was when I was offering them £79 and
Get thrown in
getting thrown in the Land Rover wasn't quite working out.
Something was getting thrown out.
So I actually had a wee chat. I actually had a wee
never-
chat with Anthony when I was up there the last time. It was quite interesting. A lovely bloke.
So the first time we were across, first time that I think all of us had actually went into Kilchoman, Anthony, whether they were short-staffed or whether he
I think he's there most of the
Anthony
time.
actually gave the Scottish Land Rover owner club, he gave us the tour, and it was an absolute cracker of a tour, because there was so many people asked questions about, well, how do you start a distillery? Where do you get the funding for a distillery? How do you compete against the biggest neighbours, the biggest names in whisky in the world? And because he was the man with the answers, it was an excellent, it really was an absolute, and we sat in the campsite that night and everybody was talking about the business side, about the whisky side. Yeah, he really did. If you're lucky enough to actually get a tour with the boss man himself, it's certainly
definitely
a very educational, very interesting tour.
I think it's.
Do you know twice
a
now?
wee bit of lemon and lime there.
There's twice now, and when you're tasting whisky, you're smelling whisky, you should be honest. And twice now, and I don't think this is a compliment, but it sort of is. Twice now, I've had a fish supper. And that's the strangest thing I think I've ever smelled in a whisky.
So is it the salty vinegar?
I don't know.
Is it salt and vinegar that you're smelling?
But twice I've actually.
Oh, you did say earlier you had the seaside and the salt and
Well, the first time I was being polite by saying the sea salt and the seaweed because I smelt
the fish supper. Well,
a fish supper. I actually smelled like a fish and chips, and that was the second time I got the fish and chips. Unless you've had fish and chips tonight, you're not telling me.
No, well, I did have salmon, but it's not fish and chips. I think it's.
That's very nice. But if you're going to say it smells like a Chesterfield, I can say it smells like fish and chips.
Well, the strange thing is that I'm saying it
it
tastes
was a
like.
hint.
I'm not saying it smells like Chesterfield. I'm saying it tastes like Chesterfield. But no, just the whole.
A red one or a green one?
That. Oh no, definitely a red one. It was definitely a red one.
Definitely a red one.
Definitely a red one. Because no, it tastes yes, and it's.
The more I drink it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
And I like that drink.
It's.
I think if you like spirit, if you like to taste.
Oh well, I'll tell you one thing.
spirit in whiskey.
There's no way that those 639 bottles are getting put in a cupboard. There's no way you should put that in your cupboard. You should be drinking this, shouldn't you? This is not one to keep. This is one to drink.
It's a very difficult. We've had this conversation, and there are a lot of people that are almost offended that you buy a bottle of whisky to keep. And we've got quite a few bottles of whisky that we keep, but we're not keeping them inevitably. We're just keeping them until the urge to drink them overcomes the urge. They're nice to have. We have quite a nice collection of whiskies that we like to have. So Steph and I have got quite a few Kilchoman, we've got quite a few Rassi, and it's nice to have that collection, and at some point we will drink them. But until that time, we enjoy having them. So I would say that was the same. You'll know when it's time to open that, won't you?
Well, time was tonight.
When the Land Rover's failed its first MOT, it's time to open. It's time to open it.
Oh no.
But we could be.
No, I think you should be opening that.
There can't be many of them being opened.
Oh, you wouldn't have thought so, but...
I would think we're in the first dozen people to actually try that.
Which is a shame. Because I think all 639 of them should be open. They are.
Should we find out who's got them and go and visit them?
Because that is a nice... No, definitely. Just buy a bottle, or if you bought one already and it's sitting there on the shelf, just open it, just drink it, just enjoy it. And it's... I know they do these limited edition ones as part of a marketing ploy and all the rest of it, and it's a bit of a thing. And a lot of people do just put them on the shelf, but I'm in the mind that they put a lot of effort into developing these bottles and nosing and tasting them and just getting them and selecting them so that they're the way they want them to be and the way that they should be. And Anthony and Kathy did that, and they didn't do that to go to the effort of just so they can sit on a shelf because somebody thinks it'll be worth more in a few years. I think it's...
And when it's finished,
open up. That's
when
what
it's
it looks
finished, you can stick a photograph inside it, you can stick a story inside it,
Yeah.
and stick it on your shelf, just the same. I think the best compliment that I could give that is it reminds me of Kilchoman. Because it is, isn't it?
Reminds you of driving the Land Rover on the beach.
It just reminds you everything about the whole Kilchoman experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it does, and it's obviously a suggestive thing in the mind because it's linked to the Land Rover, that it does bring back memories of when we drove the Land Rover on the beach. And it does, it's great to have a drink that does that sort of thing.
There is something, see if you get them on the
Because it'll always be the thing when we go to a Kilchoman, we'll always think of those, well, we've been, the Land Rover Club, we've been twice now, and I've been for quite a bit myself. And it's just, Kilchoman's a fantastic whisky, and Isle is a fantastic place as well.
And the location of Kilchoman.
Oh, Kilchoman, yeah, we've said this before about Maccabee, and it's
You know,
just,
there's a lot of distilleries are
Yeah.
on the water, and they're all beautiful on Islay.
so I think,
But the location of Kilchoman is beautiful.
so what's your final verdict?
It really is spot on. I mean, I really can't give it much more of a compliment than it reminds me of Kilchoman.
So Dave's recommendation, spot on, and that's what's going in the, well, obviously it's spot on, you've just nicked that. That's all living, isn't it?
Sometimes you've got to take a decent proportion to really get the effect in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So talking about Land Rovers,
Oh, again.
so obviously I was down in the National.